Welcome to the People Chronicles. I'm Jackie Hoffman. The People Chronicles gives you a platform to tell your story, no matter who you are, where you're from, or what your story is all about. And today we welcome Sue Ernst to our, you know what, I'm just going to start calling this to our table here at the People Chronicles. That's what it is. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, we ask our individuals the same question, which is, what do you want people to learn from your story today, since everyone has a different story?
I think my thing that I want you to learn is don't ever give up. There have been times in my life when things have been really bad, and when I was just about ready to give up, something happened and just turned things around.
And that's when we get to turn the next page. And you know what the really neat thing is that, you know, in a matter of 20 minutes, people can learn so much from our guests. So I'm going to do less time talking and let you do all the talking, and I'll do the listening. But why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us what you do, where you work, how long you've been there.
My name's Sue Ernst. I am currently the special event coordinator with the Berks County Parks and Recreation Department. I handle all the weddings, large walks, basically anything over 100 people is what I deal with. I have been born and raised in Berks County. I graduated from Schuylkill Valley High School, Kutztown University, and I have had opportunities to leave, but I choose to stay in Berks County.
That's great. So now you're going to tell us a little bit about not why you choose to stay, but how you got to where you are and kind of got your way out of helping yourself turn the next page in your story.
I actually started working for the county in high school when I graduated. And I was still going to Kutztown, which was great to have a job. And my major was criminal justice. I wanted to be a police officer, and just didn't work out. Physically, I have a health issue that wouldn't allow me to do what a police officer does. So I've dabbled in other jobs, including working for a convenience store, and my job there was eliminated, and ironically, a position opened up back at the county park department. And it seems that every time I hit a low, the park department has been there for me. And 8 years later, I'm still there in a brand new position that was created specifically for me. And I like my job because I get to work with all kinds of different people, learn things about different nonprofits, especially some of the illnesses that are out there. MS, we have tuberous sclerosis. I got to work with Jackie the last couple of years with the Yes I Can run. And it's nice now because people are coming to us and to me when they need information on how to set things up and establish policies, because we've worked on it. And it's nice to say that we're getting the reputation of being some of the best around.
Which is awesome, and you have a big part of that. And, to go and dig a little deeper into your story, is it fair to me to ask what it feels like to not so much be rejected, but know that you can't have that something that you wanted, but in return, it was traded in for something else?
No, I didn't get what I wanted, but I have also been given opportunities that, even though I'm not a law enforcement officer, I'm still working very closely with the guys in the field. I have a lot of friends that are police officers. One of my jobs that's kind of molded into what I'm doing is working with our park rangers. So I'm kind of like their mother. Some of them call me Mother Goose, because I'm usually all over chasing them, making sure they're where they need to be. But it's been a mutual respect, and I'm almost glad I didn't, because I'm not limited in what I can do to help the men and women of not only the law enforcement, but also fire and EMS services.
Yeah, and looking back now, do you say to yourself, it's kind of okay that it didn't work out?
Yeah, it is. I was really frustrated at first when I knew it couldn't, especially when I'm scoring in the top 10 on tests.
How often did you did you only have to take the test one time, or was this something that it was a lengthy process?
It was like, the tests are like an hour long. It's almost like the SATs or something like that. And when you're scoring in the top 10 and beating some experienced people that I knew that were applying for the same jobs, getting through the interview to get accepted. I think the biggest clue that I had was when I was asked during an interview, so what does your mother think of you doing this? And my response was, at that point, knowing that it was very anti-female in the late 80s, you still weren't accepted as being a potential police officer candidate, I looked at the supervisor and said, are you hiring me or my mother? And right then and there, I knew where everything was going. And that's when I really started to question whether this was for me. I learned through my experience that I like working with kids too, which is usually where I have my best relationships with the law enforcement because of what I do in the parks and still working with them. It's a nice, like I said, I have a lot of fun doing what I do.
Yeah, and it almost sounds as though you're doing a little counseling while you're there. And
Yeah,
I know that you do.
yes,
Some of those
yes.
folks are characters there, but in a good way. in a
My
good way.
children. Even my little girl refers to the guys that I work with as my children or my boys.
And do you tell this story to them?
A lot of them know the story. A lot of them have grown up, have been around me like for 8 years now. So we've gotten to be really close friends. And some of my police officer friends know the story, and some of the police officer friends were there when I went through a really bad period when I was very depressed, and without their help, I don't know that I would be here, because they just kept saying to me, don't give up, don't give up. Something's going to happen, and it did. And I thank them for it.
Right. And do you want to talk a little bit about what it was that was the key that wasn't able to get you in that door to become a police officer?
I have degenerative knees, and it's a physical. I've had 5 knee surgeries. When I was 29, I needed knee replacements, and I'm well over 29 now, and they're holding, but there's nothing else that I can do. And I'm not ready for knee replacements because I'm still too active.
And how old were you when you took the test?
I was right out of college, so I would have been 22, 23.
And so did that have a big part of, were you having pain at that point?
Yes, I was having pain, and initially the doctor went in for a torn ACL ligament, and he said it's not torn, it's just stretched. He actually showed me that it looked like a stretched rubber band just laying in there. And when that surgeon retired and I went to a different surgeon, he went in and he said, you have so much arthritis in your knees that there is nothing that we can do other than replace to help you.
And do you ever look at people that are in law enforcement now and kind of think that, well, that's not fair, or the way that they do this, that's not fair, and how they may have been able to get in that door at one time that you thought was available to you? That's not fair.
I don't think it's fair. I think that everybody has something that they are meant to do. And the one thing that I have learned in both the fire service and working with the law enforcement people is one of the hardest jobs is logistics, is being able to get your hands on things, being able to make things happen. And that's a gift that I have learned, which has made me become an integral part of a lot of what I do. Because there's not much that I can't get my hands on, and the guys know it. And if they need something in a hurry, we got to call Sue. We got to call Sue. And it's a joke with my little girl, because I have the theme from Cops on my phone for all my police officer friends. And she's like, Mommy, the boys are calling. Somebody needs you. And it's good for my kids to see that just because you're not a police officer doesn't mean that you can't be accepted. And it's tough to be accepted into that world, as I'm sure you know. But once you're accepted, and you violate that trust, forget it. Because the one police department that I work closely with, I'm actually referred to as Sister Sue. And that's the biggest compliment that I've ever been given.
Well, Sister Sue, we're going to take a short break. First 10 minutes is up, and it went quick, didn't it?
Absolutely.
See? And when we come back, we're going to find out a little bit more about Sue Ernst and the great things that she does in our community here in Berks County, being born and bred here on the People Chronicles.